Hi, welcome to LOA'd, the channel where we talk about all things law of attraction. And today I am super excited about the topic I'm going to share with you. It is a technique of how you can scrub your subconscious. No longer do you have to be held hostage to beliefs and thoughts that are in your subconscious. I want to share with you the Psych-K method that was created by Rob Williams in 1988. So let me give you a little background on it and then I'll go right into it. Rob Williams was a psychiatrist who would speak with his clients and notice that he would see them week after week and they would just talk about the same problems without finding relief or results. So being a spiritual person and seeking that, he attracted to him these techniques I'm going to share with you today in a download, an automatic writing per se from infinite wisdom above. He was given this technique. He wrote it down and then he had to learn from the writings how to do this and now teaches it. So there's many levels you can become part of Psych-K. And to understand what that is, first, Psych means mind and K stands for key. So it's a key to open your mind. You can become where you just learn how to use it in your life, or you can actually become a practitioner. So before I go into it, I do want to talk about the subconscious a little bit, just so there is some foundation of what we're doing. So we all know we have a mind and a subconscious mind, right? Well, it is known that 95% of your thoughts that you act out of in an autopilot type of way all day long were put in there from the age of 7 and younger, or any other behaviors that you've done repetitiously. Because how you change your subconscious is getting into a theta frequency, rote memorization, or repetitive action. So that is why you can get all the way to work some days and realize you did it all on autopilot. You don't remember taking all the turns. It's like something took over. That is why you can say 5 times 5 is 25 because of that rote memorization you did as a young child. But the ones that don't serve you, they came to you from a repetitive experience that you maybe played over in your head. And if you are doing that in a time of theta, which is right before you fall asleep or right when you wake up, can any of you say honestly you've never replayed an unserving thought over and over in your head, especially maybe right before going to bed? Well, that was when your subconscious was very acceptable to that information. So that is something that you might have done unwittingly to yourself. The first 7 years of our life, we're in theta all the time. So if you can kind of think back of what your childhood was in the first 7 years, that's going to give you a good idea of what some of the foundational thoughts that could be serving you or could not be serving you. And then, of course, as I just mentioned, that anything that you have done repetitively or in the theta state is down there. But let's not keep anything there that we don't want. So now that I've kind of let you know about the subconscious and that it is running 95% of our day, because only about 5% of the day are we really aware and conscious and living out of that part of our mind. So Psych-K is an opportunity for you to change your beliefs. What is the definition of beliefs? Beliefs are conclusions derived from information and or experience. Beliefs are both conscious and subconscious. Perception is awareness shaped by belief. Here, Rob talks about beliefs control your perception. So if you rewrite your beliefs, then you're rewriting your perception. And rewriting your perceptions can also rewrite your genes and your behaviors. I can think of many things that, because of my perception, that's how I react to situations. Or because of my perception of maybe what my family has dealt with medically, I might have to deal with it again. So that's how it also can be something that is in your genes. Your beliefs determine your biological and your behavior reality. And this next slide really kind of shows how beliefs are filters for reality. You see the world not as it is, but as you are. I think I'll comment real quickly on this one. If you feel and think you are poor, you act poor. You're always trying to save and pinch pennies. You're saying you can't do something that is very well possible, but you're fearing of not finding the replenishment or not believing the replenishment of funds will be there. If you're an optimistic person, you are going to see life as an opportunity. So see how there your reality is shaped by your beliefs, because you believe you're an optimistic person, or you believe you're poor, you believe you're rich, you believe you're well received, so on and so on. The next slide here talks about how beliefs create your perceptions that affect your self-esteem, relationships, prosperity, job performance, mental health, physical health, your spiritual outlook, and so much more. So this is where you can kind of start right here and think of what area mentioned in these bullet points do you feel are not going the way you would like them to. If you are not performing well at your job, there could be a belief in your subconscious that you need to deal with, and then you can go from there and decide what is that limiting belief and how do you want to flip it and turn it around and create an I can belief. And I'm going to get to that next here in a moment. But basically, you're going to look to see if there's any self-esteem issues, what I like to call now sabotaging you instead of sabotaging you. What things happen in your childhood? Fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of being accepted. These are things that a lot of people deal with. Self-esteem and prosperity issues are and relationships are the top three, meaning they're the ones that are the key components of our lives, and hence why they're the first three on this list. Okay. Growth versus protection. I can messages as a child and I can experiences as an adult really helped you grow. But the opposite is true if you heard a lot of I can't messages as a child or I can't experiences as an adult, because this childhood programming becomes our habits of perception and behavior. So you see how this is all foundational from those first core years of our lives and get reinforced and reapplied, reintroduced. Then we start attracting them unaware, and we just really kind of feel locked into a destiny we never want. We never wanted this. But there is a change that we can make. This slide, Rob is talking about the self-reinforcing cycle. And you see the candle there because he talks about the story about as a child, before you know that fire burns you, your curiosity draws you to the flame and you want to touch it. But when you realize that fire burns you and it makes you experience pain, that level of emotion and that experience creates a belief that fire is hot. Do not do that. So that is just a good example of what a self-reinforcing cycle is. We can have a lot of situations in our life and we find them reappearing and reinforcing a belief that creates a cycle. And it's like there's a bad dream that we're on this loop for, kind of like Groundhog's Day over and over. And those things happen in a good way as well. How you might always find favor with your bosses because you were a teacher's pet and you just really became familiar with that self-reinforcing cycle. So I don't want to always be focusing on the negative here, but the point of this video is to help you remove the undesired beliefs and the limiting beliefs in your subconscious. But basically, experiences shape your perception. Perception creates your beliefs. Then the beliefs reinforce your perception. And then perception shapes your experience. And then experience reinforces your beliefs. See how this is a cycle that can just keep going on repeat. So breaking this cycle is very important. You're like, Lee, tell me how. So if you can rewrite the software of your mind, you can change the printout of your experience. So like I was saying before, you have two minds. Have you ever tried to change your mind only to find out that your mind has a mind of its own? Think of the times that you last promised yourself you'd get in shape, you made a New Year's resolution, you tried to quit smoking, you said you'd stop procrastinating, you swore you'd never get involved with another in a relationship, and then you can, of course, always add the one that's your favorite right here. So you're trying to change your subconscious mind with your conscious efforts. So you got to know how to get down in there and do that. So the conscious mind is volatile. It's the one that sets your goals and it judges results and it likes to try new things. It's where life is fun and mysterious. And subconscious mind is more habitual. It monitors the operation of the body. It's got your motor functions, your heart rate, your digestion, and all of these things in mind. And it prefers the familiar. Oh, does it love routine? So that's another way to mix things up. It's not be on such a strict routine. Allow your mind to go down another path and another groove. Sorry for this slide here, but there's Rob Williams way back in the day here. But basically here it talks about how short-term memory is stored in the conscious mind, and the subconscious mind is more where your long-term memories are, where it stores the past experiences, attitudes, values, and more, because it's trying to protect you from repeating something like burning yourself on a candle. Also, the conscious mind is more time-based. It has the past and the future. But the subconscious mind is timeless. It doesn't know the difference. This is why affirmations and visualization and visualizing things as if it already has happened can really help your mind believe that it's already happened, and it starts showing your behaviors. You start getting intuition to behave that way. You start attracting things in your life for those things to come to you. And even maybe biologically, like saying things that I am healed, I am whole, I feel energy, I feel great. That you then start telling your subconscious mind as if it is right now. All right, so going on to the next slide here, he talks about conscious mind is also limited to processing only 1 to 3 events, which is an average of 2,000 bits of information per second. So this conscious mind is also much slower. But the subconscious mind, it is expanded and its processing capacity. It has thousands of events that it can process, an average of 4 billion bits of information per second. And that is when we are also in a fight or flight situation. You can quickly be thinking of the right action to do and how to resolve things. So an easy and effective way to communicate with the subconscious mind is with muscle testing, because the subconscious controls your motor functions such as muscle movement, as if you remember from the previous slides. It's the one governing how do you walk and chew gum and clap all at the same time. Your subconscious is doing that. Communication with the subconscious through Psych-K, I'm going to actually show you an example of how to do this muscle testing. But first, you want to get a true, false conflict detector. Then you also want to do a like-dislike stress detector, and then a yes-no communication system. When we get these 3 things tested first, we can then be able to use our muscles to find out if something is truly in our subconscious or not. It is very important that when we do this, that your eyes are opened, facing forward, and you have your eyes facing down. He has found out through the electric currents of our body, this is the most effective way to determine the state of your subconscious. But before I create a visual of how to do this testing, I will dive in a little bit more of what's going on when we do this testing. You have 2 hemispheres, the left brain and the right brain. So your left brain has got logic, words, parts. It's the one that likes order and control. Your right brain has emotions, pictures. It's really the whole big picture there, and it's more spontaneous and free. So what we will be doing in these techniques is creating a whole brain coherence, not just working from the left side of the hemisphere or the right brain hemisphere. The mind is not the brain. Mind is energy that interpenetrates the brain and body. For example, your photons of light held in an electromagnetic field. And the brain is the gray matter inside your cranium. It's like the CPU chip in a computer. So we have to realize that we really are talking about 2 different things: mind, brain, consciousness, subconsciousness. They work in tandem. You need them both, but they are 2 separate things indeed. Real quick, I'll go over the myths and facts about changing beliefs. So one of the myths is that if you've had a limiting belief for a long time, it will take a long time to change it. That is not true, and thank the Lord that it's not. Most of the time, changing your subconscious beliefs is like changing a document in a computer. It doesn't take any longer to change a document that has been in your computer for 30 years than it does one that has been there for 30 minutes. Myth number 2, changing old behaviors and thought patterns is difficult and often painful. Not true. The fact is, thought patterns and behaviors are caused by perception. Beliefs are represented by specific configurations of photons of light held in an electromagnetic field. Change the field and you'll change the belief. Change the belief and you'll change the behavior or your thought pattern. That is so encouraging. Myth number 3, you need to consciously know what caused the problem in order to change it. Nope. And I am so glad that's a myth, because I am not a huge advocate of digging up a lot of things in the past and bringing them into your present, because if we all know that thoughts become things, why do we want to keep thinking about these things we're trying to get beyond and past and eradicated. So just know that it is, and let's deal with it and pluck it out. Let's weed the garden, right? So here's the fact. Becoming consciously aware of the source of the problem is seldom necessary to change most beliefs or behaviors when dealing with the subconscious mind. It's that conscious mind that wants all those details. All right, so now we're getting down into the good stuff, guys. Psych-K, belief change process. You're going to establish communication with the subconscious. Then we're going to do a pre-test that's of the desired belief statement. We're then going to get permission and commitment to change the belief using the Psych-K balance. Then we're going to do the balance. Then we'll work right into the post-test, the belief statement. And then 6, we're going to celebrate the change. Guys, you're going to be amazed of how simple this is, but I'm going to tell you, I have personally done it and have witnessed the change. Back to that myth number 1, that it has to be long and hard. But before we do that, let me just kind of go over some of the common things from him dealing with a lot of people, and really how it kind of makes there is a common denominator in a lot of things that we deal with, or the things that we have dealt with. So here are some of the I can't messages that we've often heard. You'll never amount to anything. You're worthless. You're not smart enough. No matter how hard you try, it's never good enough. Money is hard to come by and hard to keep. You don't deserve to succeed. No one will ever love you. You're going to get cancer because it's genetic. So no pain, no gain. You know, there's a lot of things in there that we keep being told throughout life. Here's some I can messages. I can accomplish anything I choose. I am worthy and valuable person. I am intelligent and capable. I do my best, and my best is good enough. I easily attract money into my life and use it wisely. I deserve happiness and success in my life. I love myself and I am loved by others. My beliefs control my genes and I control my beliefs. Now I'm going to do an example of how to create the test, and then I'll move into how to create the changing belief process. But what you can do is pick a message from the I can't message that most resonates with you and find the correlating I can message and have that noted somewhere, because you're going to need that phrase. If none of these phrases resonate with you and you know what you want to accomplish, write your own and we're going to use it. All right, stay tuned. Let's do this first step. Okay, so are you ready to do the muscle test to find out what is or not in your subconscious? So the first thing you need to do, now this is always going to be better with a partner. Doesn't even have to be somebody who is trained in Psych-K. They're just going to be your muscle tester. But you can do self-muscle testing, and I have done it that way. I did not use somebody. So I do want to encourage you that you don't have to put this off. Now, Rob does say it is ultimately better to use somebody because there could be times where you are heavily influencing your muscle test. So if it's something serious that you really want to overcome, get somebody involved to do some of these steps with you. But if it's not super serious and life-altering, start there with yourself. Okay, so the first step is you have to have your face forward. You can be standing or sitting. And I'm going to go do do the example of the self-test first, okay? So face forward, nose straight ahead, but your eyes will be looking down at the floor. Then you're going to put your arm out. Let me turn this way. Can you see me? Yes. So you're going to put your arm out forward and put your hands on your wrist like so, and you're going to push down after you ask the question. So the first thing you're going to do is say something true, like your name. My name is Lee. I'm trying to push down. I cannot resist. I can resist, okay? So now I know what a muscle reaction is. Now I know what a yes feels like. Now I'm going to say an untrue statement. My name is Rob Williams. My name is Rob Williams. See how I can move my arm when I'm trying to resist. So you do want to resist, but your subconscious has to change frequencies. And in that time, it's trying to change frequency and find the file per se to make it so. It can't, and that's why the muscle cannot confirm it. Interesting stuff, huh? So after you first did your first test with a yes or no, or true or untrue statement, the second thing now is a feeling. You want to get into an experience that you really have liked. Like I love Italy and I'm going to move there one day for whatever amount of time. So I'm going to put my mind in the state of mind of traveling and living in Italy. And then I'm going to do a test. And then, so I'll just pretend there for time of the video, I've done that. And I would get into that feeling and do a muscle test. And it shouldn't move much at all. Then you want to do the opposite. Then you want to think of a person or a thing, a food, an experience that makes you feel unpleasant, that you don't like, and do a muscle test after that. And you should find some swaying and some where your muscle doesn't lock into place. All right, and then the third thing that you're gonna do is say the word yes, 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 over and over and over, and do a muscle test. So let me try that. I'm gonna look straight forward. Yes, 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 yes. Easy, easy peasy, guys. Now I'm gonna say no, 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 over and over. Nose face forward and eyes looking down. No, 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 no. It did, when I tried to resist, I did find some ease in that muscle. I couldn't contract it. So that's the muscle test. So what you're gonna do now that you know what your muscle, or if you're testing someone else, what their yes feels like and their no feels like. Now I will wanna say this real quick. If you are being the person who is going to test for someone else, you do not want to put the arm out here and stand in front of them, because that is going to get in the way of the electromagnetic field, and you're going to be changing some electromagnetic information. So you want to stand on the side of them and then use the arm straight out, and you can push the elbow down. And when you are going to be doing the test to someone else, you do want to say resist or testing. Say something to give them a heads up, because you don't want the read to be just because you surprised them. So do give them, create a word to be like resist, and that will be a true reading. Okay, those are some things that you can do the same thing I just mentioned, but someone else can do it as long as they stand on the side of you and your hand is out instead of forward, because it's hard to test your own self with your arm out that way. So there is the muscle testing. It is really that easy. All right, are you ready to change your subconscious? This change process is called the new direction balance. So the first thing you're going to do is take your I can statement and test it, because who knows, maybe you actually believe it and there is something different that you need to find and uncover that could be limiting you. So test your statement. So say if you chose a statement, I deserve success and happiness, test that and see if your muscle contracts or can't contract. All right, so after you've tested it, you're ready to go to the next step. So you got to get permission. You have to ask, is it safe and appropriate for, fill in the blank, Lee to balance for this goal now? So if you're doing a self redirection balance exercise, you would say, is it safe and appropriate for Lee to do the balance for this goal to be successful and happy? And you would test it. So let me kind of do that for you. Make this tutorial, or people learn better by doing and seeing, right? And that's also by writing. So I would encourage any of you to be writing down these notes. Step 3, we are going to get permission. So let me say the statement in the same pose, arms straight out, nose and face forward, but eyes down. Hand on the wrist. Is it safe and appropriate for Lee to do this goal reset now? Okay, before going into this part, I wanted to explain why there is new lighting and new sound. Somewhere in the last part of my lesson, my mic fell off and broke, so I'm having to redo it. Sorry about that. Okay, so you just got permission from your body, so now your whole body is willing and able to do the new direction balance. So what we're gonna do in this section, in this part, is you're gonna be using the left-right integration, left brain, right brain integration, other known as whole brain integration. So your posture, you just need to sit up in a comfortable position, cross your ankles. You're also going to cross your wrists, twist them around, and interlace your hands, and either lay them down into your lap, or you can bring them up into your heart, near your heart, and you're going to go into your I can statement. You will be closing your eyes, and you'll say this to yourself, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to say it out loud, but you're going to say, I deserve happiness and success. Now what's going to happen is you're going to get contrary thoughts, pictures, and feelings. Don't fight it. Do not create a war, because your mind is actually being retrained how to process this information. So it's going to unlearn the negative statement and learn the new one. So you're going to just say your statement, affirm it to be true. You're educating the parts that are in resistance, doing it through the filters of your whole brain integration. And when you are to the point where you don't hear the negative thoughts, feelings, or emotion anymore, which typically takes about 2 to 5 minutes, you know that it's complete. So you've said your I can statement over and over till you did not feel, hear, or see any resistance. You felt a lift and a shift. The next step, you would then put your fingers together like a little triangle, and it kind of acts as a little save button, kind of like when you change your document on the computer and you hit save. Take a couple of cleansing breaths, whatever you feel comfortable with. And you are done. You are complete. What you can do though, as the very last step, is to do a muscle testing to say this statement again. I deserve happiness and success. Do the test to see if there is no weak resistance, then it's a strong yes. You know that you reprogrammed your mind, your subconscious mind, and you can go out there and keep living life fully and abundantly. But know that our mind has many, many thoughts, and I see it kind of like a prism where there's a lot of pockets where you might find different beliefs in the future that are not serving you or they're limiting you, and you can just repeat this same process to any thought or belief you find that you don't want. So I just charge you to go out and live your best life and enjoy the journey within.